GM, everyone. Fucking back.
GM, welcome back, sir. What's up? Good to have you on.
Yeah, good to be back. It's been a week, trying to disconnect from as much as I can. It was a nice vacation to spend with my family. And
Did you go to a game?
I did not go to the game because I was doing family stuff. But I did
great.
watch it, and I'm kind of glad I didn't go to the game because it was a little sad.
Okay.
It was a little
Didn't
sad.
even
Two
didn't
losses.
even.
Two losses.
Yeah, 2 losses there.
Bad ones as well too. Yeah.
No way.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Didn't even know. Well, in that case, you did the right choice again.
I did, yeah. So today's May 9th. It is 2024, and today's guest is Clonescody. What's up, sir?
Jim, guys. I'm doing great, fantastically, given the weather. So hope it's gonna be a good one. I'm a long time fan, by the way, of Leviathan, like probably since day one.
Well, thank you. I think that it's actually serendipitous that you are here today because we're going to talk about Umami DAO later in the stream today. But before we get there, today, or at least this week, is the 2-year anniversary of Luna going under. And we've put quite a bit of distance between ourselves and that period, which I think everybody wants to move past. Hopefully everybody's portfolios is closing in or near all-time highs after being wiped out. I know that I took some losses during that time period. So did you, DA, and probably you too, Clones.
Actually, no, I was, you could say, lucky enough that I didn't put any money into Terra or even like FTX later on, so I dodged that one.
Yeah, I dodged both of those, but everything went down like 80%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For sure. That does, to say some is a gentle phrasing of what happened. But honestly, for me, I feel very fortunate about it, to be honest, because I think that is a big part of how DeFi Advisor was created, was born. Like I wasn't even with this profile and this whole career direction, or however you call it, back then. And I'm pretty sure that whatever happened and the arrival of the official bear market really facilitated things for me. So honestly, I'm fortunate for it.
Well, we're still working through the absolute shit. I don't even know how to describe it. Just nastiness that was left over. I have a lot of friends that lost money. Some other people that lost a lot of money as well too. Especially people
took their lives, man. I remember something about someone driving his family from I don't know, like horrible stuff. I remember those stories.
What's the status on Kwon right now? Because I think he was being convicted in the US, right?
So I think that a couple of things are happening. So the SEC is going after Kwon for $5.3 billion for Terraform Labs. Yeah, Terraform says they only have $1 million in the treasury right now that they could use to pay back. As for Kwon, I think he fled to Montenegro, and he was fighting extradition by the U.S. and South Korea. And so recently, he had 2 days ago, his appeal for extradition to South Korea was rejected by a Montenegro court, which means that he most likely will be transferred back to South Korea to face criminal charges over the collapse of Luna and Terra in a short period. And once he's in South Korea as well too, the Department of Justice is also going to probably be seeking extradition as well too. So I think with Kwon, the question is not if he's going to jail, but where he's going to jail first. Yeah.
Where and when.
And so, he was found he was arrested in Montenegro last year.
Right. Yeah, like a year ago or what? When was that?
Yeah, so he was carrying like a fake passport at the time, and I believe also had a hardware wallet on him that had quite a lot of money. And there was rumors that it was found somewhere. How do I say this? Hidden during his arrest. I don't want to guess where, but
No, you say that what, like a ledger hidden? That's that kind of stuff, or what?
yeah.
Oh my god, man.
Inside his body.
We should have like for specific episodes like PG-13, 18 plus rated.
So the hardware wallet was found inside his body.
Yeah.
After his arrest.
He didn't eat it. He probably didn't eat it, guys.
And I think this is all relevant because Clones, you're now at Umami, but back at the time you were with Abracadabra, right?
Yeah, indeed. I was a moderator at Abracadabra, like during all that time. So like we saw like the growth of Luna and UST really like live, pretty much, like the pool going, like the curve pool going into billions in TVL. And we saw everything crash in like a couple of days. So that was like quite a roller coaster, to be honest. To watch like the like all the small DPEGs that happened, the whole TVL being drained in like a few hours for like the largest deposits. So it was quite an hectic period, yeah, for sure.
The Degen box, as it was called at the time. The Degen box peaked at over $700 million in deposits and allowed people to get highly levered on their UST. Can you talk about that? Like, how exactly did the Degen box work?
So how exactly, like on a technical point of view, it's pretty much just bento box from sushi. Like was it for sushi? Yeah, from sushi. So it's like isolated market pretty much. So the idea was just you deposited like your UST that was earning yield back in the time. I think it was AUST was the ticker, if I remember correctly. You would just deposit that, borrow meme against it, and loop leverage pretty much to get more yield on your UST. So all the meme would be sold, buy back more UST, deposit it into Terra, and you would get more yield that way. The only the main issue that we faced, especially during like the unfolding event, was like you had to bridge to Terra, right? So you had certain limitations on how much liquidity was on mainnet, and otherwise you would have to bridge really to the chain to get access to that yield. And yeah, like that bridge experience wasn't like the greatest, let's say, at that time.
It's pretty incredible that Abracadabra one was able to continue to exist after the Luna collapse, with taking in $700 million at the peak of TVL. They had the foresight before the DPEG to tell people to close some of their outstanding loans, and the cauldron for Abracadabra at the time shrank from 700 million down to about $130 million before the DPEG. Abracadabra came out with $12 million of bad debt from that UST cauldron, which in hindsight is not that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really like huge kudos to the team, and especially Romy, which is still like kind of leading at Abracadabra right now. Because like, yeah, we needed, like, we kind of saw it like a few days before it was gonna happen. So we warned everybody and we were like, oh, if you don't want to take the risk, like you should withdraw, you should unwind your position while it's still doable, like while there is enough liquidity to buy back your debt and everything. So yeah, huge kudos to the team, and yeah, especially big shout out to Romy for handling the situation back then. And on the Abracadabra surviving side, yeah, like I think that TVL topped, like global TVL of Abracadabra topped at 6.3 billions or something at really the top. beside like the TVL shrinking, like, I don't know, tenfold that, Abracadabra is still there, still building new products and everything. So yeah, huge kudos to them.
Yeah. And MIM has been able to survive ever since then. I mean, it's a great story that they were able to get out of that alive, because a lot of other projects didn't, especially if they had exposure to UST at the time.
Yeah, because really it was like ultra violence, pretty much, like the biggest stress test you could ever get on a stablecoin, on curve pools, on a network, like whatever it was. Like, I don't think we ever saw, or yeah, I don't think we ever saw something that big in DeFi, at least for now. I hope it won't happen again, but at least for now, I don't think. Yeah, we had such a stress test on the whole DeFi infrastructure, pretty much.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the price of MIM during that time period, and it didn't really ever decline too far below. I mean, it went down to maybe like 90 cents, but it recovered quite readily, and it was able to come back up to $1 and maintain that ever since then. So kudos to the Abracadabra team.
Yeah, definitely. And like we saw like very big swings, because at the time MIM liquidity wasn't the issue. It was like UST liquidity was the issue. So so when you had people leveraging a lot, like you would have like some MIM demand, but like when people were deleveraging, like there was way more than enough MIM on the pool to buy back your debt. Like the only issue was like selling back the collateral, pretty much.
Yeah. So interestingly, we just had this story come out yesterday where FTX has said that they are going to be paying back 118% of whatever the dollar value at the time, which is essentially like bottom selling when the FTX collapse took place. And they will be giving that money back to 98% of creditors in the next few days. So News of Alpha showed that 118%. So they're getting back 100, like all of the dollar value that they had at the time, which is not great because prices rallied quite a bit after that. Like if you were holding Solana at the bottom, you missed out on quite a big run. Same thing for Bitcoin as well too. But at least there is some sort of compensation that is coming.
I think, yeah, it's like the within 60 days of effectiveness or whatever. Like I've seen a tweet like there are rules pretty much if you want to get back your money. Anyway, so like you have to provide an address that is like okay with the US officials and stuff like that. So it might be a struggle still for some people to get out. I feel like.
And what's crazy though is that the payout is about 1.4 billion or 1.42 billion dollars that's going to be paid out to creditors, and the legal firm that is handling this has already billed about 1.45 billion dollars, and this was back in December as well too. So this has increased like a lot more since then. They're charging about $1.6 million every single day
Jesus.
to the FTX estate, and just an incredible amount of money.
Can you say that number again? $1.6 million?
Yeah. So every single day, every single day, the bevy of legal firms that are handling.
You know what? You know what's that called? That's a business plan over there. That's a business plan, baby. Pretty good one.
Yeah. So I'm grateful that people will get their dollar value back. Unfortunately, they sold the Pico bottom with a lot of these assets at the time. And
this is over $500 million a year, right? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
God. But hopefully we've coming to an end. Once everybody gets paid out on the creditor side, at least the 98%, that'll probably put an end to this chapter. SBF is in jail. people will be returned the funds at the value that they were in when FTX collapsed, and then that bankruptcy proceeding will probably continue for years more as they wind everything down.
It's gonna be finally behind us. That was like the main story of crypto for past 2 years almost, year and a half.
Yeah, next up, the big things will be like Caroline Ellison going to jail at some point. I don't think that they've announced her sentence that she's going to take, but she probably will get, I don't know, 7 years, maybe.
I'm not even sure who this is, by the way. Like, I don't remember necessarily what she did.
She was number 2.
Okay. Caroline from. Okay, I didn't remember.
Yeah, the Alameda CEO.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Caroline, and then Nishad, and then so Nishad Singh, and then Gary Wang are probably all going to go to prison for, I don't know.
What about Sam Trabucco or whatever it's called? I remember that like it was like 2 weeks or something like that before that he just left, and there was like this picture of him on like a yacht saying goodbye to everything. You know what I mean? Remember that? Did he also like?
So nobody knows where he is.
Face charges and something. Really? He just like evaporated?
Yeah. So he made at least $25 million from FTX, and then he announced his resignation in 2022. At that point, Caroline took over as the head of Alameda Research, and he kind of just disappeared after that. So,
no way.
Yeah.
Is that like no one knows where he is? Like, really? Like, I thought that the authorities have spoken to him probably or something like that.
Well, he hasn't even been criminally charged yet by the U.S.
Man,
which is
this story is even more suspicious than I thought then.
Yeah, like the Sam Trabucco case is like really a mystery to me, because even during the Sam's hearings, like you could see his name like in the group chats in whatever, like his name was quoted. So I'm like, why isn't like one of the main organizers of that not being charged of anything? Like it feels like nobody even thought about going after him somehow.
He was also like the head there, right? Like he was the head of Alameda.
He was the head of Alameda until he stepped down.
And like one can ask, like, isn't it a bit odd that just after the guy disappears, only then the whole thing blows up? It's kind of suspicious.
It's very suspicious.
The fact that he's being charged or his name was barely spoken about in Sam's hearing is what's troubling me the most. Like,
sounds like another business plan, guys.
This always seems to happen. We might see something with Sam, because he must have known, right? Like the books at Alameda had been cooked for years before that, and unless he,
it's so weird if he didn't know. Let's say that, like that, if everyone there knew, but only him, like only he didn't. Kind of weird.
Yeah, I think the issue at hand is that he did resign more than probably like 4 or 5 months, 6 months before the collapse. And so that puts him at a different. I think it legally would be harder to go after him. He did take money from Alameda to buy his yacht, though.
I thought it was much closer than a few months. I thought it was like a few weeks before everything blew up, though.
So I think it was mid 2022. It was sometime before.
I don't think it was like half a year before or something like that.
Well, apparently it was long enough for him to buy a yacht and disappear.
Yeah, maybe he was just like shopping for yachts, and he was considering like when's the right time to make the move and sail away because the authorities are coming. Oh my god! What a story! Like when is the movie coming out, Sam? Like how is there yet to be a movie? about this one.
I think it's too embarrassing for the leftist elites to put out something like that.
What a good point.
I mean, either that
right.
or
After the
like,
election, you're right, Sam. After the election, the movie.
yeah, either that or like every producer is literally fighting to get like the story and be the one that's gonna make the movie about it, because I'm sure tons of people are expecting it. So,
well, I don't know. I mean, maybe I think we just need more time, right? Because the crypto after FTX has become a highly partisan issue inside the United States, and typically people on the left have taken a very anti-crypto stance. You know, we just saw that bill that was passed in the House yesterday to nullify the staff accounting bulletin 121, which prevents banks from essentially prevents banks from holding crypto on their balance sheet. It just says that for every dollar of Bitcoin that they hold on their balance sheet, they have to hold another dollar in reserve, which is kind of crazy. And this was a unilateral decision that was made by the SEC, and the White House actually came out and said that even if you pass this bill and it comes to our desk, I'm gonna veto it. So
yeah, that's wild. I actually saw like Trump endorse crypto recently on my Twitter feed.
yeah.
So I guess like it's like one side versus the other now.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, right?
Yeah, it sucks that it's become such a partisan issue. It should be a bipartisan issue. It's not. I feel like it's impartial to any like political view. Crypto is for everyone.
Crypto is for everybody. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Toki, welcome. Hey, late joiner, but thanks for joining.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had something on. I was sorry a little bit late. It was unforeseen circumstances.
So we were just talking about the 2-year anniversary of Terra Luna, and what was your experience during that time period?
Yeah, wow, that was that was crazy. So like, I had a lot of friends who unfortunately were burnt by that, but like I never participated in the Terra Luna like Ponzi, if you want to call it. I guess like a lot of my friends, they had exposure to UST and whatnot, but I didn't personally. Fortunately, actually knew like some of my friends working at funds who had exposure to that, and I guess like they felt it the most, having like quite heavy exposure there. But other than that, like I was lucky enough to like sit and like watch it from the sidelines. Wasn't actually like participating in it myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, you felt the after effects of all the prices going down and everything by 80 to 90%.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was that was the part that impacted me. Unfortunately, I didn't short it. Like I feel like that was like if anyone shorted it, I feel like that's like the most like I feel like yeah, like definitely like taking advantage of circumstances, of dire circumstances. Whoever did that, I feel like that's a pretty Chad move.
Yeah, and it was like in hindsight, like I remember seeing it on Twitter, and it seemed there was a lot of tweets coming out at the time when Luna was at 100, and it just seemed kind of obvious based on the numbers of how much money they would have to pay out to keep the anchor going, and how much Bitcoin they had in reserve, which was like 3% at the time. And but hindsight's a bitch, right?
Yeah. I feel like there's so many trades we all could have made just based off hindsight, but I don't know, that's crypto for you.
Yeah, I know. Is what it is, but 2 years really seems like a point where we're finally able to move on, especially with the market doing what it is and the introduction of the ETF. Hopefully we're at a better place where institutional capital can kind of regroup and come back into with inflows into the industry.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it like this way, it pretty much cleansed the space from all, or at least a lot of bad actors. You know, all the lending side, like the Celsius, the BlockFi, everyone that was under collateralized, pretty much was like was hit by the effects of the UST crash and like everything that came after. So, I mean, it's a win in my book, even though like a lot of people got burned. Sorry if you got burned, but like it helped expose FTX as well. The sooner the better. So yeah, can move on from that now on. From now on, sorry.
And also, speaking of moving on, you guys are moving on at Umami DAO.
Ooh, smooth transition, sir. Yeah, we are. Do you wanna go, Toki, or should I take it?
No, go for it, man.
Right. So yeah, for some of you who don't know Umami, we've been like operating for what, close to 2 years now, I think. We are a project on Arbitrum. We are currently delivering yield for GM pools, like GMX GM pools, single-sided yield. I should specify. We are not moving away from Umami, but like we are branching out to Bonsai, which is our new MetaDAO platform, you could say. So Umami is going to be one of the sub DAOs of Bonsai from now on, and Bonsai is going to be the main project where everything resides, treasury, team members, and all of that. So we are starting fresh, you could say, because like the Umami token and brand had a lot of migrations during the time. Like back in the days, it was like a norm fork called 0 to then we moved to another token, etc., etc. So there was like a lot of like the project isn't really what it was when it first started. So we decided to like just rebrand it pretty much and go from a fresh start with a new model, which allows us as well a bit more flexibility. Because so far Umami was mostly providing single-sided yield for GMX. Our brand was pretty tied to that, so we wanted to move away a bit from that, just to have more flexibility to build other products, to build on other chains as well, and have a brand which is more you could say that we can widespread a bit more than just Umami, which is Arbitrum focused right now. I don't know if I should go into the details.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, you guys have really innovated in that time period, essentially starting out with the deconstructed GLP vaults, which allowed people to deposit different assets in and earn yield from GMX v1. So you could deposit, say, like USDC or ETH or BTC, as well as like Uni, I believe, and earn a pretty good yield on that. I mean, I think if you look at just kind of the base yield without incentives versus anywhere else, Umami was near the top of the list for a long time. And now you guys have your GM vaults, which also seem to be providing really nice high base yields.
It's actually pretty crazy. We're actually double Athena yield right now. So any of your Athena bulls, USDE, like, I mean, we're literally double that APR. So
yeah, for a bit more history, like the GLP vaults were first. So the idea was to allow users to have a single-sided exposure to what they deposit into GMX. So if you deposited, I don't know, like let's say USDC in GLP back then, you would be like half exposed to USDC and half to all the other token inside the GLP, right? It's a pool, so you have a share of that pool, and you're subject to price variations for all the other tokens, which you might not want. You might just want to say, oh, I just want to provide the USDC side and earn yield on that without having to take care about the ETH price, the Uni price, the BTC price, or whatever. So we were able to put out that product, which was like kind of first version. And now we were able to port it, like to adapt it over for the GM pools, and the results have been way better than with GLP, and like better than we expected, to be honest, at the beginning. So yeah, we're pretty happy about it. It's indeed one of the top yielding products on Arbitrum and probably like everywhere on chain right now. Even like stuff like USDE from from ETNA, like we are above that base yield, all paid in the token that you deposit. So if you deposit USDC, you get USDC yield. Same for ETH, same for BTC. Yeah, everybody has been pretty happy in the community so far about it. So if you have lying stables, stables laying around, sorry, or BTC or ETH, like feel free to check it out. It's a great way to earn yield right now.
Yeah. So where do you guys go now? Is it just more vaults built on GMX, or what are you guys looking at?
So what we are looking at right now is like a few, like we plan to expand, on the gem vaults offering, you could say, given that like there is a lot of markets available right now. So we want to provide liquidity for all of those. We also have a couple of new projects, actually like completely new projects in the work that we are gonna release under the Bonsai brand. Each is gonna be a sub DAO, so those are gonna be like independent projects managed by Bonsai, pretty much. Like I'm sure you guys are familiar with like the Clever concentrator. Is it Aladdin DAO, right? The Aladdin
Indeed.
DAO is kind of doing that.
Indeed.
Yeah. So we kind of we are adopting the same model where we have one base layer, you could say, of brand and team, and we are developing sub DAOs which might have individual needs depending on the product. So yeah, that's pretty much the direction we're going right now.
Interesting direction, and shout out Aladdin DAO. Proud to be a community booster there, and on the A-Team DeFi, co-founder there with the guys. And I think that you guys are picking a very interesting model, to be honest.
Well, thank you. Hopefully, yeah, that's like we saw also kind of like Maker is kind of doing it as well, if I remember correctly in the end game plan. So I mean, as I said earlier, like it makes sense for us because it gives us way more flexibility on what we want to build and what we can build. So we are not restricted to just GMX pools or just Arbitrum. With that kind of organization, we can go wherever we want and build whatever we want, pretty much.
Really, Maker is doing something similar?
I think so. Yeah. If I
so-
remember correctly. But
Yeah, Maker has Spark Protocol, which is essentially like a sub DAO. Spark Protocol is like a front end for like their SDI stuff and their saving stuff. And yeah, it's kind of like their end game plan. But yeah, just to like touch on some of the stuff like Clones was talking about, like yeah, we're essentially like planning to like kind of like create these sub DAOs. And like I think like someone mentioned it on Twitter, which is like a cool like way to kind of think about it, which is like it's almost like a DAO adopting like a venture studio model where you kind of get like a DAO like focusing on these like more like core focused products and bootstrapping them, and then like letting them grow beyond that. And I think that model is quite interesting, especially for crypto and building in DeFi, because a lot of the stuff that we're like focusing on and working on in DeFi is quite experimental. Like, you know, a lot of this stuff is quite new and stuff that hasn't been done before. And we really want to branch out and like build that new stuff and build like the next iteration of DeFi. And yeah, to do that, like this model really leans into that.
Yeah, I do like I do think that's an interesting point, right? That the DAO kind of can act as a studio, and then you can have all these individual tokens underneath it, and some might be more popular than others, but the kind of overarching structure kind of captures all that value into one token, but you can separate risk into individual tokens. I think there's been I've seen a couple of different examples of this. Obviously, Maker's done this. On the other hand, Frax has kind of gone the other way and said that we don't want to have more than one token here. That one token is enough. That once you start to issue out all these tokens, it kind of takes away from the value of the original token. And if you ever have to like absorb them back in some M&A process, it can get a little bit messy.
Yeah, I think like on that point, it definitely was a concern, and like a lot of we did spend like I guess like a lot of time discussing and debating this. But the way we see it is that like when issuing these tokens, it's not like they're being issued for the sake of issuing a token. The sake of issuing these, the reason behind issuing these tokens is that like these products that we're building are intended to be full-fledged products and full-fledged like DeFi products. They're not just kind of like small, like singular, isolated components of a larger organization. They are full-fledged products, and they will have like their own individual teams at the time of TGE, and they will have their own sub-DAO, their own governance, etc. So it is like much more akin to starting new projects rather than issuing projects under the same umbrella. The only thing that links them together is that Bonsai is essentially an early stage investor in the teams and the kind of like structure that's being set up. And that's kind of the point. Like for these sub DAOs, just to give a bit of clarity on like how incentives will work for like team members and whatnot. Like team members contributing to these sub DAOs aren't being paid, won't be paid in like Bonsai tokens or anything like that. They'll be paid in those sub DAO tokens, and these are going to be like individual, like they are individual sub DAOs rather than being like all linked together. It's in our plan we outlined the structure where essentially they're going to be called leaves until they have a TGE event. And that basically means that any fees generated will be paid back to the Bonsai DAO treasury. And in that phase, it's like kind of like recuperating costs and growing as it's kind of like nurtured and incubated at that stage. And at the point of TGE, that is when it really kicks off, and it's its own thing. And we want to really emphasize that these products are really their own thing.
I guess the like the comparison with like an incubator would be nice. Like could make sense. Yeah, like Bonsai is overseeing for as long as like the project is being worked on / just came out and stuff like that. But yeah, like the point is to make them completely independent at the end of the day.
And like at some point, if you have like a few sub DAOs, eventually is your vision that these like products, when they earn revenue, they will also distribute some of that revenue to back to Bonsai, the mother entity as well, and the holders there? Or how do you guys see it?
So the cool thing about it is that at TGE, it will be voted on in Bonsai DAO, and basically the Bonsai DAO treasury will in fact receive a significant portion of those tokens for incubating these products. And at that time, depending on the tokenomics for the individual sub DAOs, if there is a revenue share model, depending on the amount of tokens that the Bonsai DAO treasury owns, then yeah, like if it is say like a revenue share token, the revenue the revenue proportional to the amount of tokens that the Bonsai DAO treasury holds will be in fact sent back to the Bonsai DAO treasury. So that opens for all sorts of ways in which governance for Bonsai DAO can use that revenue.
Yeah, to add a bit on that, like the idea is to have like value in the sub DAOs token. Really, like if like the treasury isn't necessarily gonna get paid directly from fees generated by the sub DAOs project, but through the token. So if the token has revenue share, then sure, we're gonna get revenue share from that. Otherwise, it's just gonna be like market value, pretty much.
How have you seen that play out with Aladdin DeFi Advisor?
Which part exactly do you mean, sir?
Just like the multiple tokens and routing fees back, because I think Aladdin.
Well, with Aladdin,
yeah,
I think with Aladdin, it actually turned out well, because Aladdin, even before I was involved, it didn't start that way. Aladdin was supposed to be like this a kind of an investment fund that will assemble like a lot of DeFi investors, and they will just decide on what to buy. And the issued ALD tokens originally, from what people told me, because again, I was not involved back then, were supposed to be like a representation of your part from that big treasury that the DAO was supposed to take. But after a few, after a while, I don't know if it took a few months or a year, things started shifting, and it turned into more of an incubator model, indeed. And concentrator came first, and then Clever. Like it all happened, they didn't plan to be it. It kind of happened, and I think that once FX started, the game really changed, because all of a sudden the DAO had a product that. Like the other products, I really like them as well, but with FX, the response from the market was clearly to a whole other degree. But right now, I can tell you that I see that the success of one product, FX, it is starting to attract some new opportunities, not only for FX, but also for Clever and Concentrator, to be honest. And also, I think that I'm not saying that it's very easy to do or that it doesn't have its own issues sometimes, but I think that the way that Aladdin got us involved, like the community, with stuff like the community booster programs, I think that at least on the Aladdin case, these were very meaningful, and they really assisted the community to assemble and to unite. That's how A-Team, for example, was born. We were just a few community boosters, and we wanted to do something that is more organized instead of just like individual efforts. And personally, I think it's actually an interesting model for projects, but honestly, it's not that simple to run. Like you have to have like a pretty strong community and a team that does like the right things, and of course, like most importantly, you have to have the right products.
Yeah, but it's been interesting with Aladdin that the ALD token has not captured as much value as say FXN.
That's still a big part of it too. But and again, it's because of this change that I'm mentioning, because like the ALD tokenomics are at least from the discussions in the DAO, they're supposed to be changed. Like ALD, and again, this is not concrete yet, but first of all, the supply was already cut. Like the initial supply, the max supply was supposed to be like 1 billion, and it was capped at 150 million a few months ago. That was like the first step of the revamp tokenomics of ALD. And it should eventually become some kind of a version of VEALD or something like that that should be able to draw revenue. Because also Aladdin, they hold meaningful percentages from each token's allocation in their treasury. But it's not the case currently. Like right now, if you hold the ALD, I hold the ALD for transparency, and it's not earning any revenue at the moment. And to be honest, the devs are working like on the products more than they're working on that. So nothing is perfect, but hopefully we will have this transformation this year as well. But for sure, if you guys are planning this kind of model and you already know that in advance, for sure, I would recommend you to do it. For sure.
Yeah, I guess like one thing that's kind of different and quite notable is that Bonsai token holders will receive essentially like airdrops for these new products at TGE. So I guess like that is depending on how I guess like how bullish these products are and how bullish they're perceived by the market and the tokenomics, then that drives value to Bonsai holders.
Just for transparency, we also had some drops or opportunities with the launch product by Aladdin. But I'm really looking forward, Toki, to see what you guys do, because you're putting yourselves in a very interesting position, in my opinion, when you change structure to this structure of a main DAO and some sub DAOs with products. And like if you let me tell you this, like if you guys run it correctly and manage it correctly, I think that there's a whole lot of room to create like community interest and engagement with this kind of structure. Of course, everything is depending on like having like actual working and interesting products. But on that side, I'm optimistic about you guys. That's
Yeah, I think we like with the gem vaults currently running for Umami. I think we like after, because like they took a while to get out, at least even for the GLP one. So I think we proved that we can like create a product that has like product market fit, that works, that brings money to both the DAO and users. So yeah, that's the plan is to keep going with product that works.
what kind of alpha can you guys share about the products themselves, if at all, if any?
We can.
This is a big question.
Yeah, we can talk about both. I guess. Do you want to start, Toki, or I go first?
I'll just talk about some of the stuff we've been working on. So I'll share a little bit and pass it over to you. But yeah, like one of the cool things I guess like in the past few weeks has been expanding the team a little bit. Kind of like increase the dev bandwidth on our end so that we're I see Sam's a little busy right now. But yeah, like basically we want to increase the dev bandwidth because we're taking on quite an ambitious project. Essentially, like one of the things that we've kind of seen that is quite bullish, that we think is going to be quite big over the next few months and going into this cycle, I think, is permissionless lending. So permissionless lending basically entails like permissionless creation of pools as well as like participation in these markets. So like, it's not like Aave where you have to go through a DAO vote and like set up the risk parameters and whatnot. It's similar to like Llama Lend, which I hope you guys are like quite familiar with, that type of model. We're really, really bullish on that. And we see that, being as like the movement of lending towards a more Uniswap-like model with permissionless pool creation and whatnot. And essentially like you end up with a situation where users are able to get leverage on pretty much like any tokenized asset in DeFi, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so like for the focus around that, we're essentially building smart accounts, working on top of like working kind of extending for 337 account abstraction style accounts, and working on essentially what it boils down to is like a one-click leverage product with the focus on account abstraction and levering like some of this cool stuff that we're seeing right now with passkey integrations and some of the cool stuff that we're seeing with Coinbase Wallet. Really taking like a more like user-centric approach to like accessing DeFi and getting leverage on products, which is proven to be like quite like popular this cycle, I would say, like levering up on meme coins and all these long tail assets. But not just that, but also like 4626 vaults and other cool DeFi stuff.
It's quite like there's a lot of opportunity in that domain. Let's say that, and a lot of untapped technology, or let's say, technology advances that Ethereum went through, like with account abstraction and stuff like that. Like we're not seeing much integrations yet on that side. So yeah, that's something we are looking forward to add to the platform.
Yeah, essentially like it's focusing on initially like leveraged accounts and intent-based leveraged accounts. So users, similar to like CowSwap in the ways that orders and leverage orders will be routed across different permissionless leverage platforms depending on rates available for users, and then extending that out to integrations across DeFi into that smart wallet. And some of the cool stuff we're working on right now is just like essentially like the way I look at it is like it's kind of like like an on-chain competitor to the Coinbase wallet integration that we're seeing right now. A lot more open and DeFi focused though.
Really cool. I'm glad you guys have been able to make this turn, and I hope this is a turning point for you guys as you transition from Umami into Bonsai. I know it's not always an easy thing to like rebrand or pivot that you guys have had to do, but
You guys are great at branding, though.
Yeah.
I really like both the looks on both brands, to be honest. Both Umami and now I saw the Bonsai Twitter account. Looking good. Also, personally, for me, I had like a tiny amount of Umami, so I migrated. Can you maybe like share a bit about the migration process?
Oh yeah, sure. Just a quick one, but like huge shout out to Edis, our graphic designer. Like he's the one who's created all of that, like all the visual brand, all the like everything. So yeah, huge shout out to him. He's doing amazing work. And yeah, with regard to the migration, basically it's a 10-to-1 migration. So if you have one Umami, you're gonna get 10 Bonsai. We increase the supply 10x, but you keep like the same share, obviously. Migration is gonna be open-ended as well. So like we had a few troubles with previous Umami migrations where like people would get stuck basically with old versions that they couldn't migrate and etc. So we're not doing that again. Migration is going to be open-ended. So whenever you want to migrate your Umami to Bonsai, you're going to be able to do it whenever you want. If you want more info, you can go to bonsaidao.xyz and you're going to find everything there. You said, like you spoke about Twitter, same, you're going to find all our links for Twitter, Discord, everything on that page. So feel free to come and say hi. We have quite a few OGs in the Discord, so every subject can be talked about pretty much. A lot of people have a lot of experience in DeFi in our Discord, luckily. So yeah, and to add as well, just to make it clear, like Umami isn't going away. Like the project is gonna stay. The gem pools vaults are gonna stay as well. So if you are a depositor in Umami right now, like you have nothing to do. You just have anything to do if you're Umami holder or stacked Umami holder.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on today, guys. I know that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you for coming. And good to have you back, Sam.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming as well.
Yeah, it is good to be back. And tomorrow we have a really nice llama party that's going to be taking place. Garrett is bringing on Crosscurve and EWYA to talk about their Crosscurve.
EYWA, no AWA?
AWA? Is that what it is?
I think I call it AWA, but yeah, it sounds too Middle Eastern probably.
Well, we're seeing some cool curve products coming, so we'll see that tomorrow for the llama party.
The llamas are taking over.
As always.
Indeed.
Thanks everybody for being here. Make sure to subscribe to Leviathan News at Leviathan_news on Twitter and Telegram, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Ciao, guys.